back. A new study from the University of Miami says around 35 of South Florida's luxury residential buildings by the sea have been sinking over the past several years. Many of the buildings are in the area of Sunny Isles and Bal Harbour. The report also mentions that coastal lands in downtown Miami and Broward are also showing some signs of sinking. So, raises a host of questions for experts about development in vulnerable areas. And joining us now to talk about this hot issue is Miami architect and founder of Kobi Karp Architecture and Interior Design, Kobi Karp. Welcome. First of all, thank you so much for being with us to talk about this. A lot of people buzzing about this news. Sinking, oh my goodness, it sounds scary in theory, but what do you make of this report right off the bat?
Well, first of all, Lauren, thank you very much for having me. This is a report, and I love the University of Miami, but it's not confirmed or approved or reviewed by other parties. We build these buildings, high-rise buildings, and have been doing so for decades. And the way they're built with auger cast piles that go down into the soil, hundreds of feet. They are with steel cages and high-pressure concrete. We test the soil. We have structural engineers who do the testing. We have structural engineers who design it. Then we have peer reviews. Then we have a third-party review that review the overall design of the building. And then we have a CT reviewer as well. Then we have on-site inspections by a threshold inspector. So multiple times these buildings are reviewed. And some of the buildings that were mentioned in the report, we build new buildings next to historic buildings. Okay. So this testing is very precise, yet this report that has been put forth has not been confirmed by any third party that I saw.
But let's say there is some sinking. Let's say, I believe the report off the top of my head here, 3 to 8 inches over several years is what they're seeing in some of these buildings. Is that very concerning, or is that just natural for some of these brand new buildings to kind of settle in? Is that normal? Should people be concerned if it is in fact sinking?
That's a very, very good question, because these buildings, and the report said 1 to 3 inches via satellite measurements. And what happens by satellite, just for discussion purposes, you can measure at one point, and then there's a slope of the roof to drain, and that slope can be 3 inches or more on these size buildings. But really what is most important and what the opportunity here is that these buildings are designed so well, and they're being tested not only as wind tunnels, not only as computer generated, not only as auger cast, not only as we test the soil, but most important, we take these buildings with the safety report to a level that is out of this world right now. And I'll give you an example, if I may. What it is that you're mentioning, the proposed settlement, if that settlement really did occur and other parties reviewed and confirmed the test, then what you have is you have an opportunity to look at how it relates to the ground level. You would walk into the building and you would see that there's a change in the elevation. I'm happy, and I've walked those buildings that they've just mentioned, and I did not see it. Now, that does not mean that that report is wrong. It just means that it has not been confirmed. And that is very, very important in our business, because in our business, everything that we do gets reviewed and re-reviewed and rechecked on multiple levels.
Especially with all the new guidelines for building. So it seems like at least the new construction is being built in a way that should withstand any of these issues. But very quickly, because we don't have much time, what about the old buildings? Are there ways to reinforce those to ensure that they don't, you know, Surfside obviously on everyone's mind, that something like that doesn't happen again?
That's a very good question. Right now, we did the Surf Club, we did the Caribbean, we are doing historic buildings. And these buildings have been built for years and for decades, and there has not been an issue. Now, what is interesting, we're building new buildings like the Legacy in Miami World Center, right, for Dan Kotze, and by great structural engineers like the Simone engineers. These buildings are designed to be right next to historic buildings. We have built high rises, 500 feet, next to 2-story buildings. And all of the consideration of settlement is taken into it. I'll give you an example. When we build a high rise, which is tall and 30 stories, 40, 50, it settles as it gets built. That's why we put the garages next to it after the tower settles in. It's standard operating procedure. It is unique to hear now that people are saying, oh, it's settled 1 to 3 inches, yet it's not double checked and confirmed in relationship to other parties. And that's why it cannot be confirmed. The way I look at it, it cannot be confirmed. It is not checked, it's not proven. And Lauren, right now, as I sit here today, and we've designed many of these buildings, I hate to think to myself, but it needs to be checked before people put it on the front cover page of a newspaper.
All right, that's why we continue to report on it. Kobi Karp, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
My honor, my pleasure.